Hexing Squelcher is so powerful in Legacy, but want to know what would make it even more powerful? Playing it turn 1 off of Simian Spirit Guide. Let's go check out today's deck. In front of you is Legacy Artist Talent Storm, and it comes as a donation deck from Matthew Story, who submitted this deck a few times now. So Matthew, thank you for your continued support and today's donation deck. In my previous video that you can find in the card above, I said that I did not like Quantum Riddler. I think this card stinks. That said, Matthew disagrees and thinks that it's one of the best cards in the deck, and is, instead of cutting, Quantum Riddler for Burning Wish like I suggested in that previous video, has decided to cut stock up instead. Well, I don't agree with that, but I do like that the deck is playing Burning Wish today. One of my bits of feedback from that previous video was that we couldn't beat the One Ring. This gives you Death to the Deathless to be able to do so. So Death to the Deathless beats that One Ring, could even beat a Veil of Summer, but you do have the Grape Shot for that, so it's a little bit of overlap there, but having a way of doing so I think is just good. And I like Burning Wish to go find your Echo of Eons, giving you more ways to hit that, spin, I think is valuable. Also gives you Boomerang Basics to beat odd main deck hate. I mean, it's not common, but it does exist, and I think that the Burning Wish for that out is quite nice. So I do like that we're a Burning Wish strategy today, but the real upgrade is Hexing Squelcher, an uncounterable piece of protection that you can accelerate into on the first turn using Simian Spirit Guide. Those are the changes. Let myself and Matthew know what you think of the deck list after you've watched the whole video. Alright, that's all I've got for now. Hopefully you enjoy it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff, and I will see you in match number 1. Don't go anywhere. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, cyborg guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop, or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to the first match. We are on the draw, and I have no idea what our opponent's playing. So we have an Urza Saga that does not make red mana. We have a Mox Opal that cannot hit Metalcraft. We have 2 pieces of acceleration and Rite of Flame and 3 protection spells. So we have 3 protection spells and no way to cast any of it and no action. We're going to send this hand back. Alright, I think that this one is a keep. We'll bottom the Chrome Mox. So if our opponent's on a blue deck, we have double defense grid on first turn. Well, we have 1 defense grid on turn 1 and then another on turn 2. We also have Urza Saga into Lion's Eye Diamond for this Runehorn Hellkite. So I'm sort of hoping our opponent's playing a slower blue deck. That would be the ideal matchup for this hand. Our opponent plays a first turn Bloodstained Mire for a basic swamp and Thoughtseize. Okay. They take the Runehorn Hellkite. Interesting. Maybe they have a way to reanimate it or exile it. We'll play the Urza Saga and then the Mox Opal. Actually, maybe I should hold the Opal, because I could use the Opal to trigger the Artist Talent if I draw red mana. They play a Blood Crypt. Okay, so maybe some sort of Death Shadow deck and a second copy of Thoughtseize. They take the Mox Opal. The Urza Saga will now go to the second chapter. We'll play the Lotus Petal. And now I'll play the Artist Talent, play the Ancient Tomb, and then I'll go to 18 to cast a defense grid, and then we'll discard this defense grid and draw a new card. Wonderful. So next turn, I can, assuming I don't get hit by a Wasteland, I can float mana off the Urza Saga, and then search out a Lion's Eye Diamond, and then draw using Runehorn Hellkite. They do play a Death Shadow. Rakdos Shadow. Okay. So we'll draw Burning Wish. We'll float a colorless here. And then let's go grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. I won't lie to you, my brain immediately went to, well, if we had Beseech the Mirror in the sideboard, this would be a clean win with Gaia's Will. We're not playing Beseech the Mirror today. This is not the Epic Storm. This is Artist Talent Storm. So not really a great option. So what we can do, though, is cast the Burning Wish for Echo of Eons. And we would have more mana. So I think that makes more sense here than using the Runehorn Hellkite. Using the Runehorn Hellkite would leave us with 1 available mana. The Echo line leaves us with 2 available mana. So I believe we're supposed to use the sideboard Echo of Eons. And now we'll float 3 blue. I'll go to 16 and we will flash back Echo of Eons. Storm is 2. No initial red mana here. That said, we are playing 3 Simian Spirit Guides today. So Echo, we hit a Spirit Guide. I like that. Let's play Lotus Petal. This will trigger the Artist Talent. Discard the Defense Grid. We'll use the Simian Spirit Guide. We'll cast a Rite of Flame. Discard the Echo of Eons. Play Gamble. Discard an Urza's Saga. We'll go grab Lion's Eye Diamond. Straight to the graveyard. Red Entomb. We'll play Mox Opal. Discard Urza's Saga. Well, I drew a Lion's Eye Diamond. That made up for it. Discard this Ancient Tomb. I would like to level my Artist Talent, and then we will spin the Echo once again. Storm 8. And that should be the win. We'll play Rite of Flame. Discard the Ancient Tomb. Play the Lotus Petal. Discard Gamble. Play Chrome Mox. Discard the Hexing Squelcher. We'll imprint the Gamble. And now I'll play Burning Wish. Discard Ancient Tomb. Yes. Go grab Grape Shot. And we'll cast it. Target you. Look at us go. Turn 3 through double Thoughtseize. Not bad. We likely don't need Hexing Squelcher. And we would like Boomerang Basics. We probably want Haywire Might. Okay. So I think we could probably shave 2 defense grids. I want to leave a Boomerang Basics in the sideboard for the Burning Wish. I am potentially interested in another Boomerang Basics, but I think that having one for the Wish access is just better. So that's where I'm going to leave it. I don't expect them to be a Chalice of the Void deck, so I don't need the Surge Node. I think that's it for now. Okay, so 2 defense grids still for like Orcish Bowmasters or Pyroblast or Mindbreak Trap, things like that. Game number 2 on the draw. I think we keep this. It's going to hurt if we get hit by a Thoughtseize, but if they keep a hand that's based around Leyline of the Void, this hand could beat it. So I'm interested in trying this. They cycle a Street Wraith, basic Swamp into Thoughtseize, unfortunate. So we're probably going to lose our Lion's Eye Diamond here. They took the Mox Opal. That's interesting. I don't know if I agree with that decision, but not my place. We'll play the Lion's Eye Diamond. Play the Chrome Mox. So a bit of feedback that I have received from the group that is actively working on this deck is that I don't try to assemble Artist Talent plus Riddler enough. Like, they think that I should be forcing it more often. So we have a big decision here, because I could imprint the Burning Wish and then play a Haywire Might or the Spell Bomb. Or I could imprint Artist Talent or the Riddler and use Burning Wish for the sideboard Echo to come back in this game. I'm going to listen to those people and imprint the Burning Wish here. It might bite me in the butt. I'm willing to admit that, but they keep on saying that I don't try to maximize this enough. The issue that I have with this combo is you need another mana for the talent. You then need to play Riddler and hit something to trigger the talent and then keep the chain going. So it is not free. I understand when you assemble A plus B, it feels very good. I've always said it feels a little win more, but we'll see here. Molten Collapse on my Lion's Eye Diamond. That's not very nice. And that makes the Mox Opal play make a lot more sense because they thought they were going to get the Haywire Might too. We drew another diamond. That was good. And then let's draw a card here. See if I can hit another mana. Play out this Haywire Might. Well, it's a mana, but not one that I would like to play. That does allow me to play the Artist Talent next turn, though. They play a Bloodstained Mire, Death Shadow, 3 cards still in hand. Gamble! Okay. I think I'm just going to spin here. I don't have... I mean, I could try to play Artist Talent first and like take a turn off, but I would like to get things going. So I'm going to grab the Echo of Eons. And let's draw a new hand, or at least attempt to. Spin. Storm 2. They Lightning Bolt me in response. I go to 17. We drew a non-functional hand. Why? Brutal. Alright, pass the turn. What a garbage hand. I guess this is the punish for not taking a turn off to play Artist Talent. Our best draw by far is another Lion's Eye Diamond. They play a Thoughtseize. They take the Boomerang Basics. And a Blood Crypt. They're at 4. So I have a one turn window here. And then I'm dead. Nope, I am just dead. That is lethal. Okay. So I guess if I had set up Artist Talent Pass, I might have died anyway. Alright, we are on the play for game 3. On the play. Think I keep this? So this is a first turn Artist Talent. I do not have blue mana to then get the Echo to the graveyard. That is a concern I have. This deck actually plays a little weirdly sometimes because of the fact that you're running Urza Saga and Ancient Tomb. You often don't have the color requirements you need. I think I'm going to imprint the Rite of Flame here and keep the Burning Wish. It's pretty close, but that is my thought process. I will now pass the turn. They play Verdant Catacombs. Lotus Petal would be my best draw here. Oh, I mean, Lion's Eye Diamond too, but Lotus Petal would allow me to play the Petal for a blue mana and discard the Echo of Eons. They take the Burning Wish. Another Ancient Tomb. Lovely. We will level up our Artist Talent. The thought that I had, but I wasn't confident enough to say anything to Matthew, was that with Simian Spirit Guide and Hexing Squelcher, maybe you could move away from the Ancient Tombs. Like, I understand that Ancient Tomb into Defense Grid is very powerful, but maybe you're supposed to just not play Ancient Tomb anymore and just play like 4 Simian Spirit Guides and then play more Fetch Lands and Surveil Lands or whatever instead of these Ancient Tombs. How bold are we feeling? Come on, deck. Give me a blue mana. Nope, just an Urza Saga. Alright, we will pass the turn. It's just you play 10 lands, and 9 of them are colorless. Technically, one of them makes colored mana, but you have to have an artifact, the Spire of Industry. It means that you're going to end up opening up a lot of hands where you can't end up playing your spells. So that was the fear. Like, I think that maybe the deck should move away from Ancient Tomb. Speaking of Ancient Tomb, there's another. Alright, so I could go to 14 and level this up to the 3rd chapter, but I could also die to a Battle Rage, and I don't want to. So I'm going to just pass here. A Surgical Extraction on Echo of Eons. Not cool. Okay. Oh my, they left the Echo in the graveyard. Oh friend. Well, they drew a Wasteland. That's not great for me either. They play another Moonshadow, and they're going to target my Urza Saga. We'll make a Construct in response. And they're going to swing. I think I take the trade here. And then this Moonshadow will get a little bit bigger. Apparently I can't block. Maybe there's a line on this card I did not know. It has Menace. I did not realize that. Okay, so that card has Menace. We now know that. Another colorless land. You got to be kidding me. Okay. Well, I can't block. Could attack. They're at 9. They have another Blood Crypt down to 7. Gothy Voidwalker, sure. So they can attack me for 4 and I'll be at 8. Yep, I'm at 8. Saga goes to the 2nd chapter. Another card we can't cast. Am I dead? I think I'm dead. We never drew a colored mana. Pretty sure I'm dead here. I can go to 6 and make a blocker. And then I could double block a Moonshadow, but then I'm dead to the Moonshadows on board. They play a Death Shadow. That definitely kills me. They're not attacking? Why would you not attack with your Moonshadows? Did we just get away with one here? Or am I not understanding something? I'll go to 2. I can't believe they're letting me be in this game right now. Wow. So generous, opponent. We will float a colorless. And we'll grab Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll make 3 blue. Flashback Echo of Eons. So first they didn't exile the Echo with Surgical, and then they did not attack for lethal. So we'll start by playing Rite of Flame here. Get rid of Defense Grid. And then I can play another Artist Talent. Get rid of the Rite of Flame. We'll play an Opal. Loot away a Riddler. And a Chrome Mox. And now we'll play the Quantum Riddler. Use both blue. This will draw 1 card. And we'll play Lotus Petal. Discard the Artist Talent. Discard Mox Opal. We will Boomerang Basics on the Mox Opal. Get rid of Mox Opal. And Gamble. And now we'll play Mox Opal. This will discard the Rite of Flame. I think we're going to win this. There's Burning Wish. Sweet. There's the Spire of Industry I was talking about. Yeah, we play 1 Volcanic Island for colored lands. I really do think Ancient Tomb needs to leave. Like, I think we're going to win this one, but I shouldn't. I mean, that would be really funny, but I don't think I'm supposed to win that way. I could level up both Artist Talents. I would need more mana, and then Pyrite Spellbomb them. But that seems like a lot of work when I could just win the game. We'll play Burning Wish. Discard the Chrome Mox. Discard Artist Talent. Yes. And now we'll grab Grape Shot. And target you. I cannot believe that they let me stay in this game. Discard the Gamble. Discard Mox Opal. Target you. Well, I guess on the bright side, you have a very big Death Shadow. And we win match number 1 even though we shouldn't have. Sometimes that's how Magic goes. Your opponents give you opportunities and then you take advantage of them. Sometimes you punt and then your opponent wins. That's the game. Well, we're 1-0. Stick around for match number 2. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. Time for the second match. We're on the play. Once again, I do not know what our opponent's playing. This is a turn 2 defense grid into turn 3 spin with protection from defense grid, assuming that nothing happens. I'm down to try it. We'll play Urza's Saga and then pass the turn. They play a Swamp. Saga's going to go to the second chapter and we rip a Lion's Eye Diamond. Oh my. Okay, let's play the Diamond. Maybe I'm wrong and they're on a blue deck. What the pause there was a little worrying. I think I'm going to pass. So I thought about playing a defense grid this turn, but if you do that, you're giving up the juke of the Urza Saga constructs, and I'm not willing to do that. And I'm not even sure that they're a blue deck yet, so I'd rather keep my potential of beating them to death with construct tokens rather than playing out a defense grid in a matchup where it might not be relevant. Oh no, the Mox Opal isn't active. Bryant, you idiot. Can't take me anywhere. I even thought about that. I was like, the Spire of Industry defense grid, so the Opal's active. And then I just like, my mind started racing to other possibilities and I forgot about Metalcraft. Smallpox. We'll get rid of the Spire of Industry. Oh, I guess I have to discard a card. We'll get rid of the defense grid and the Spire of Industry. Now they play Polluted Delta. You know, I have played Magic before. It's just sometimes I forget. So now Saga goes to the third chapter. We'll float a mana here. The second Rite of Flame is pretty good. We'll grab another Lion's Eye Diamond. We'll make red mana Rite of Flame. We'll play another Rite of Flame. And then we'll play Burning Wish using one of the colorless mana, leaving 3 red mana floating. And we'll grab Echo of Eons. Make 3 blue. And I think I'm going to leave a diamond in play in case I draw another Echo. I don't think that this is a deck where you really benefit from like 6 mana floating like you do the Epic Storm. It would have with this hand, I will admit. We'll play the Ancient Tomb. We'll tap the Ancient Tomb. Let's play an Artist Talent. So there is a cool line you could do here, which is cast the Quantum Riddler in response to discard your hand and hope that you're able to chain into a win. You could also defense grid into a Riddler and then get an Artist Talent trigger first. But when you riddle, you'll be out of mana unless you use the diamond. Alright, we'll use the Spirit Guide. Let's play Defense Grid. Artist Talent triggers. I'll get rid of the Spire of Industry. The second Riddler is better if we draw a Chrome Mox. Another Defense Grid. Alright, so we're going to play the Quantum Riddler here. Holding priority. We'll add 3 red. So when the Riddler resolves, it will draw 2 cards. Okay, so it is now entered. Not really what we wanted, but we'll play an Artist Talent. This allows me to discard the Runehorn Hellkite, and then we'll draw 2. There we go. Gamble. So we'll play Gamble, discard Echo of Eons, discard Urza Saga, and now Gamble. We can go grab another Lion's Eye Diamond, which guarantees our ability to spin with Echo of Eons. We'll play Diamond. And I think that we've got it now. We've assembled the win-more combo of double Artist Talent plus Quantum Riddler. We were successful. Okay. And it's worth noting, when you do get to do this, the deck goes absolutely bonkers. Like, you could win with a ham sandwich. It's just getting to this point sometimes is not the easiest thing. Alright, we'll discard Ancient Tomb, discard the Urza Saga. We'll play another Lion's Eye Diamond, discard Echo of Eons, discard the Defense Grid. We'll play Lotus Petal, discard Artist Talent, Discard Rite of Flame. Play another Lotus Petal. We'll get rid of Lion's Eye Diamond. Get rid of the Ancient Tomb. Lotus Petal resolves. We'll make a red using Spirit Guide. Play the Rite of Flame. Discard Artist Talent. I think I want both copies of Burning Wish. We will hold priority. I coded this thing, you can see it here where it says holding priority. I coded that into my computer because Magic Online doesn't have one. I guess we'll discard Burning Wish here. We'll re-auto yield to this trigger, I suppose. And then I'll make 3 black. It's just some sort of visual cue that I'm actually holding control, but it's not tied to Magic Online, that holding priority button I made. So sometimes Magic Online, the control will actually stick and you'll be holding priority like for every spell you cast. So it's not reliable. It just lets me know that I'm actually holding the control key. So it's not perfect, but that is what I'm hoping for until Magic Online actually does something. We'll bring in the Haywire Might once again, a couple copies of Boomerang Basics. Maybe we want to bring in a win condition. Maybe like an Empty the Warren, so that way Surgical Extraction isn't as big of a deal. Get rid of 2 defense grids, the Hexing Squelcher. You know what? We'll go down to 1 defense grid. Let's try this. Game number 2 on the draw. We've opened up double Urza Saga and triple Mox Opal. Well, this hand is good against discard because you have an Echo in hand already, and eventually you'll hope that one of your copies of Urza Saga hits the 3rd chapter. It's not amazing, but I'm going to keep. I understand how bad this looks, but you're a deck with 2 colored sources, so it's not like you can mulligan for one of them. You're really relying on your artifacts, and the more you mulligan, the less likely you are to hit Metalcraft. So I'm going to try this one out and see how it works. They play a basic Swamp and pass the turn. Ancient Tomb, not a bad draw. We'll play a Saga and pass. No need to play out a Mox Opal. If they have like a Force of Vigor, you don't want to add to that. So that's my thought process here. They play another basic Swamp into a Null Rod. Well, I do have the double Saga hand, so maybe that can do some lifting. Gamble. We'll play the Ancient Tomb and pass. They play Ripples of Undeath, which at the beginning of their upkeep, they mill 3. I'm sorry, at the beginning of their first main phase, they mill 3, and then they can pay a mana and return one of those cards to their hand, and they gain 3 life. Alright, so we've made a construct. I'll make another construct. In hindsight, I probably should have played out a Mox Opal in case they left open mana for a Orcish Bowmasters. We will grab Haywire Might. None of the artifacts do anything, so at least this one attacks, even though it can't destroy a Null Rod. We're just making our constructs a little bit larger here. And then we'll play out another Urza Saga and go to combat. Swing, batter, swing. They mill 3. So they can pay 1 mana, return the Wasteland, and then destroy my Urza Saga. So they would go up to 18. Oh no, it works the other way. I misunderstood. My apologies. They don't gain 3 life, they lose 3 life. Okay. My bad. Reading comprehension. My apologies. But they don't even play the Wasteland. Instead, they play an Urborg. And now they play an Orcish Bowmasters. I think that they were probably supposed to play the Wasteland, because now I'm going to be able to make another construct on my turn. Sure, I gain 2 life. Yeah, I think they did this a little bit backwards. I would have played Wasteland this turn, and then next turn I would have played the Bowmasters. We draw an Artist Talent. Let's go to attacks. Swing. And now they're going to block with both. And then we'll just pass the turn. They reveal Polluted Delta, Orcish Bowmasters, and a Barrowglyph. Barrowglyph is pretty good. And they return the Barrowglyph going down to 9. We know that they have a Wasteland. So they could play the Wasteland and then tap it to play a Barrowglyph. Or they could destroy the Saga. Instead of playing Barrowglyph, they play an Unstoppable Slasher. So I think they're just dead. We'll make another construct. And now we'll make another construct. By playing Barrowglyph, they might have been able to live a turn. They definitely can't now. We'll grab a Pirate Spellbomb, I suppose. Let's attack for lethal. And the opponent concedes. Nice Null Rod. We're now 2-0. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $15.99. This token combo pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens featuring classic Storm and Mana tokens with new inclusions such as our modern Ruby Storm package, but that's not all. Our token pack covers a variety of formats from Pauper to CDH with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. It's time for the third match, and we are on the draw versus Dredge expert Mafuz Van Gogh. This hand has a turn 2 artist talent. My concern is that turn 2 is not fast enough, but we do have a Lion's Eye Diamond. Maybe we'll draw an Echo of Eons. Who knows? I'm not going to ship this. They're on a mulligan to 5 now. They thought for a little bit and then played Swamp Pass. Interesting. We draw a Quantum Riddler. I'll play Ancient Tomb into Lion's Eye Diamond and then pass the turn. There's some merit to playing out an Urza Saga, but the Saga doesn't actually help me much here. I already have a Lion's Eye Diamond. I can play Artist Talent into Spellbomb next turn. From Mox, that's not bad. Alright, so we'll play the Talent. I go to 18. Force of Will, exiling Narcomoeba. Okay. We'll play Pirate Spellbomb. So Mafuz is playing a Force of Will Dredge deck today. Under round C, so they now have a blue source, Brainstorm. Narcomoeba does exile the Force of Will, that is true. We draw another Artist Talent, not a bad one. We'll go to 16 and play it. And now we'll play Chrome Mox, trigger the Talent, discard the Urza Saga, another Chrome Mox. Not a terrible draw here. We're not going to imprint because I can play the Spire of Industry into the Quantum Riddler. Trigger. Okay. Chrome Mox, we'll get rid of the Squelcher, and I think I'll imprint the Simian Spirit Guide. We'll play Mox Opal, discard the Ancient Tomb, play Rite of Flame, discard the Ancient Tomb. And it looks like we're off to the races here. Okay, so I could evoke the second Quantum Riddler, but I have no way of casting the Burning Wish then. So I'd have to draw a card that triggers Artist Talent in order for us to keep going. I think that's a little too risky for my taste, so I'm going to play the Burning Wish here and just discard Quantum Riddler. We drew Echo, which is what I was going to get off of the Burning Wish, but I guess I can grab a Boomerang Basics now, and then we'll Boomerang Basics on the Mox Opal, discard the Echo, and look at us now. We have all the cards in the world. Another Echo of Eons, Lotus Petal, discard the Echo, Lotus Petal, discard Echo of Eons. Firm is now 11. We'll play Chrome Mox, discard the Urza Saga, no imprint. Let's make a mana with the Mox Opal that's already in play. We'll play another one. Discard the Defense Grid. Storm is now 13. And I suppose now I can play the second Quantum Riddler. We draw a Gamble. Let's turn off the auto yields. I will cast a Burning Wish. And we'll add 3 black. Yes. Grab Tendrils of Agony, and we'll play it. Okay, so I win game number 1 versus Force of Will Dredge. We'll bring in our 2 copies of Surgical Extraction. Because they are on Force of Will today, we're going to leave in Defense Grid and Hexing Squelcher. The question is, what do you get rid of? Probably the Runehorn Hellkite. You don't want to help them dredge their entire library. And then we likely don't need the Pirate Spellbomb. So those are my thoughts. We'll try this out. Game number 2, I will keep this. So we can gamble for Lion's Eye Diamond on the first turn, and then Hexing Squelcher, spin Echo of Eons on the second. Well, they have an Unmasked, so that's probably not going to work. They take my Hexing Squelcher as expected. Underground C, 4 cards in their hand. We draw another Mox Opal, which I don't love. We'll play Gamble. Grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. Straight to the graveyard. Red Entomb, always. Unfortunate. Our opponent plays an Otherworldly Gaze. Puts 2 non-dredgers to the graveyard, but keeps 1 card on top. Polluted Delta, 3 cards in their hand. Well, that's a Lion's Eye Diamond. Let's play it. Play the Spire of Industry, and gamble. I'll grab the other Hexing Squelcher. Ooh, we won a flip. How about that? Alright, I'm going to be patient here and pass the turn. There's a chance that they have a Force of Will. I would like to just not be reckless here and take my time. It's not like their draw has really gotten going anyway, Like, there's no Dredger yet. They could hit one here, but even so, that's not backbreaking. Gets rid of Bridge from Below and a Cabal Therapy. They could have kept the Therapy, but they would have to guess what I grabbed off of Gamble. Well, maybe they already have one. That's why. And they did correctly assume Vexing Squelcher. Or Hexing Squelcher, my apologies. Pretty sure they have Force of Will. I'm going to just pass. They play another Otherworldly Gaze. Gets rid of a Stinkweed Imp. So now they have double Cabal Therapy, Stinkweed Imp, and a Bridge from Below. And then they can also flash back the Otherworldly Gaze. Lotus Petal. I'm 1 mana away from hard casting the Echo. We'll play Lotus Petal, play the Mox Opal, and if I hard cast the Echo, I can then immediately flash it back and play through a single copy of Force of Will. And now a Careful Study. They dredge the Stinkweed Imp, and then a Golgari Grave Troll. No Narcomoebas. Brainstorm. So now they can dredge the Golgari Grave Troll again. They have Leyline of the Void in their deck, which I wasn't expecting. Makes sense, though. I did not board in Boomerang Basic, so if we lose this, I'll need 2 for game number 3. And now they flashback Cabal Therapy. It's going to be a lot of power on the board for them. They name Artist Talent. Now they can discard the Rite of Flame, and I will not have... Basically, I am now 2 mana away from hard casting, so if they do have a Force of Will, I likely lose. So I could draw another Rite of Flame. That could be an out. We'll draw for turn. That's not great. There's 2 Force of Wills in the graveyard. 1 Cabal Therapy. I think I'm going to pass. Not dead yet. Upkeep the Otherworldly Gaze. Keeping 1 card on top. And now Cabal Therapy again. They should name Echo of Eons. Because then I have to flash back and lose to Force of Will. But that is not what they did. So technically that allows me to hard cast. We'll exile the Simian Spirit Guide. Hold control. Hard cast the Echo of Eons, and I will float 3 blue. I have played a land this turn. And there's the Force of Will. And we'll flash back with no mana floating. I don't love my odds of winning from here. From 3. We'll exile a Simian Spirit Guide. Rite of Flame. Like, I think it's possible to win from here. I would need to get pretty lucky. So, gamble for Lion's Eye Diamond. Discard not Lion's Eye Diamond or Burning Wish. And then Tendrils of Agony. So we need them to not have Force of Will, and we have to win or gamble. It's a 50-50. Alright, Lion's Eye Diamond. And we discard Lion's Eye Diamond. Okay, so we lose this one. Maybe I want the Haywire Might as my out to Leyline of the Void instead. Because, like, I don't love my odds of just drawing the Boomerang Basics. And then maybe we'll get rid of, like, 1 Quantum Riddler. Let's try this. On the play for game 3. Sure, we'll try this. They do have the Leyline of the Void. Let's play Lion's Eye Diamond. See if this eats a Force of Will. It does not. Mox Opal. And then the Urza Saga. So when the Saga hits the 3rd chapter, I can go get the Haywire Might and then use the Opal to use the Haywire Might. Underground Sea. I'd love an Ancient Tomb as my draw step. Or a Chrome Mox. Wow, blind hits on gamble, discarding 2 of them. That's absolutely devastating here. Lotus Petal. So Lotus Petal lets me make a construct. I'm just not convinced that's what this game is about. We will pass the turn. I would have loved a Chrome Mox, though. Chrome Mox would have been incredible. So they could play Narcomoeba and then discard my Echo here. And because of the Leyline of the Void, I would not have an Echo of Eons. That's a Golgari Thug that will also do it for them here. So my Echo is going to be discarded. And then maybe I am supposed to make a construct now. Really wish that Lotus Petal was an Ancient Tomb or a Chrome Mox. They take the Quantum Riddler. Alright, so that means that they likely have a Force of Will. Let's make a construct. We'll float a colorless. And we'll go grab the Haywire Might. Play Artist Talent. I don't have to try to win this turn. Swing for 4. Upkeep, they play Otherworldly Gaze. This can mill over that Golgari Thug that they put on top of their library. And a Golgari Grave Troll. Now they can draw and dredge. They do not dredge. Interesting. Burning Wish. We will attack for 5. They go to 11. I'll pass the turn. And step another copy of Otherworldly Gaze. They kept 2 cards on top of their deck. And they're still not dredging. Okay. We find another Urza Saga. I'm going to leave the Haywire Mite back, because if they use Otherworldly Gaze and hit a Narcomoeba, I don't want to trade my Haywire Mite or use it when I'm not intending to. So I could play Burning Wish here and grab like a Boomerang Basics to clear a blocker. I am not going to discard the Echo. Select the Boomerang Basics, and then pass the turn. They flash back the Otherworldly Gaze, Bridge from Below and Cabal Therapy. Okay. Does not dredge again. They are one card short of Threshold here. If I draw an artifact, I can put them to 1, which would shut off Force of Will. That is an artifact. Alright, so Saga is at the second chapter. I'm wondering if I should Boomerang Basics. Alright, I'm going to try to Boomerang Basics on my Mox Opal. Trigger the Artist Talent. And discard the Defense Grid. Another Echo. Play the Opal. Discard Echo. Draw an Echo. They might force this. I didn't consider that. So they would go to 6. I'd attack for 4. They had double force. We'll swing. So this will put them to 3. That 1 non-attack might have cost me. But if they put in a Haywire Mite, or I'm sorry, if they flash back the Otherworldly Gaze and put in Narcomoeba, I didn't want to have to sacrifice my Haywire Mite then. I will pass the turn. So they can draw and dredge here. They do not. Very odd. Uses Cephalic Calcium. All the Narcomoebas in the world. And triple Cabal Therapy. So I'm going to lose my hand here. Might have missed my window. Cabal Therapy. So they can, whatever they name here, let's say they miss, they can flash back another Cabal Therapy, and they do hit. So it's interesting because I discarded the Echo to the Artist Talent that they knew about. But maybe they missed that. Or they just had the Sick Read. So there's only 1 Echo left in my deck, and it's in my sideboard. They're at 2 life. I don't think I can win this. Alright, so I suppose there's one line that wins here, which is I float a colorless off Urza Saga. I then go get a Mox Opal, and my draw step is Burning Wish and Grape Shot. And I have 3 Burning Wishes left. Okay. Gamble. I don't have a third Echo here. So that doesn't actually do me any favors. We'll grab the Mox Opal. Pass the turn. It's 2 more Narcomoebas on the dredge. Don't love that. Because now it means that if I crack back, there's no downside to them swinging out now. That's unfortunate. We'll block a zombie, block the Icarid. Before damage, we'll exile the Leyline. I just don't see there being an out here. Another Otherworldly Gaze. Like, I have nothing to gamble for. There's no Echoes in the deck, because we happen to draw all 3 of them. The Runehorn Hellkite is in the sideboard. So this gamble's pretty much useless. They are playing Daze as well. I was not expecting Daze. We'll draw. I don't think there's a line here. If we had a Runehorn Hellkite, this would be the spot for it. Alright, Spellbomb is also in the sideboard, which honestly would have won. Now that I'm thinking about it. There's no gamble target. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond. Discard the gamble. Oh, you're only 5 years too late, Surgical Extraction. Yeah, they got me. So we lose match number 3. It's possible I played too conservatively in game 3, but I had the read that they had multiple forces, and it turns out that was true. Maybe I was wrong about the 1 combat, which in hindsight they had Force of Negation. So even if I put them to 1, they still had the counter magic, which I was not expecting. And they were playing Dazes, which I didn't know about. So I'm not sure if that plan would have come together, but maybe it would have given me a better chance. We're now 2-1. The Gold Sabertooth times the Epic Storm collection has arrived with 3 full-size tokens showcasing the beloved Dark Ritual, CDH Rogsai, and Legacy of the Epic Storm for just $5. On the backs of these tokens, there's a place for my signature or a custom message. In addition to these sweet tokens, a friendly reminder that all orders that ship from theepicstorm.com also come with a signed Storm token from yours truly. We are back for the 4th match. We are on the play. Let's bounce back from that tough loss. This is a great hand we will keep. We'll play Ancient Tomb and Defense Grid. The resolves will play Lion's Eye Diamond, Mox Opal, and I think I'm going to pass. So my game plan here is turn 2 Artist Talent and then Echo of Eons. They have a Wasteland. That's annoying. Alright, so now I need another mana to be able to play the Artist Talent. Okay, I should have been more descriptive. Another mana that casts Artist Talent. We'll float red and blue off this Lion's-Eye Diamond. I think we're going to use the Runehorn Hellkite. So it tells me what they're playing, but also it leaves an Echo of Eons in the graveyard. So that way I can potentially wheel again. They are a blue deck, and I do not have mana to Echo of Eons. I did not hit any blue mana. Once again, all of our lands make colorless. Okay. What can I do? Rite of Flame makes 2. Simian Spirit Guide makes 1. Chromox makes 1. So I can make 5 total mana, which is just short of Empty the Warrens. I'll play Urza Saga, and we'll Burning Wish. Let's grab... So next turn I can use the Mox Opal. We'll grab Boomerang Basics. Is that at least it draws a card? I can bounce the Mox Opal and draw a card. Potentially hit another setup. They have a Wasteland. Sure. Volcanic Island. I think I'm going to just play the Urza Saga and pass. They fetch with Scalding Tarn and Dragon's Rage Channeler. Saga goes to the second chapter. We'll play the Volcanic Island. Let's play the Chrome Mox. But I think I'm actually going to just imprint the Boomerang Basics because I want the mana from the Simian Spirit Guide. And I will make blue. I'll play the other Mox Opal, keep the new one, and let's flash back Echo. I'd like to keep my options open to make a construct here, so I'm not going to tap it. Okay, that was decent. We'll use Simian Spirit Guide, play the Rite of Flame, Lion's-Eye Diamond, Lotus Petal, and now I can play the Quantum Riddler and draw 2. Storm 9, Rite of Flame, Lion's-Eye Diamond, and we will gamble for Echo of Eons. So the way that this works is when I draw cards off this Echo of Eons, I will draw 8 due to the Quantum Riddler. Storm 13. And that's going to be enough to win here. I do not want to show my opponent the Hexing Squelcher. There's no reason to give them that information. And Tendrils of Agony. Cast it. Target you. Do we want anything against Fair Blue? Probably not. Like, I don't think our sideboard is meant for the Fair deck, so I'm going to just resubmit. So the Fair decks are usually bringing in like Grafdigger's Cage or Null Rod. Haywire Might doesn't answer those. Haywire Might is really there for like Leyline of the Void or Deafening Silence. And if they're bringing in Cage, you could bring in Boomerang Basics. But what are you boarding out? Like maybe the Pyrite Spellbomb, I guess. Like we can make that swap. Maybe like, you know what? Cage is probably relevant enough. We'll board out 2 Quantum Riddlers. I think that's a fair thing. Like a lot of lists are on 3 Cage right now. So our deck, it wants to use Echo, so maybe I shouldn't just try to fight through it. So we'll try this out. It's not like I love Quantum Riddler anyway. Game number 2, our opponent has kept 7. I will keep. Once again, our deck has 2 colored mana sources, so this hand is risky. I think that you're just pressured into keeping these hands even though I can't cast anything. It's sort of the nature of the beast here. Volcanic Island into Dragon's Rage Channeler. Another Rite of Flame. So that could be good if we actually end up hitting a red mana, because it would allow me to go Rite of Flame, Artist Talent, Gamble. And now they Brainstorm. They play a Scalding Tarn for Volcanic Island. And now they attack. 1 card type short of Delirium. And a second Dragon's Rage Channeler with 4 cards in hand. How do we feel about a third Urza Saga? We'll play this one. Pass the turn. They swing for 2, I'll go to 17. We'll float a colorless here. And now attempt to search. I say attempt because Consign to Memory is a card. They have 5 cards in their hand. I'm going to grab a Lion's-Eye Diamond. And then we'll play another. And then a Mox Opal. We do need this one to resolve. It does. We'll play Urza Saga. Rite of Flame. And then we'll play Artist Talent. They Force of Will, exiling Daze. They have 3 cards left in their hand. They Surveil a Wasteland to the graveyard, and they kept another card on top. I would like to gamble. That one resolves. We will grab a Runehorn Hellkite, and now we'll make 3 red and 3 blue. Let's draw a new hand. Alright, 3 floating mana. They discard Force of Will, Daze. Maybe you should have countered the gamble. Our current hand does not win the game. I would like to play Defense Grid. They brainstorm in response. Gets rid of a Murktide Regent and a Ponder. Defense Grid on the stack. Another brainstorm. And they found Force of Negation. So the Defense Grid will be countered. I'm going to keep the Boomerang Basics in hand in case they play a Grafdigger's Cage. We'll play out Chrome Mox, imprint the Spirit Guide, and then I'm going to make a Construct. And then I'll pass the turn. They have 5 cards in their hand. And they've gone through 4 Force effects. They've seen just shy of 50% of their library, so that's definitely above average. Looks like they have a Meltdown. Yep. Into Wasteland. Pretty good. Interesting, they're letting me keep the Saga that can get a Lion's Eye Diamond. They have 4 cards in their hand. We draw a Chrome Mox, so I'll float a mana here. Grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. Play Urza Saga. Play Chrome Mox. We'll imprint Boomerang Basics. Add 3 blue. And let's attempt to spin. The Surgical Extraction on Lion's Eye Diamond. It's not good for us. So I have Squelcher. The issue is that my hand doesn't do anything. So I could play it out and probably still lose this game, or I could try to hide it for game 3. I think I'm going to just concede. Unfortunate. Like, there's a world in which you win that. I just don't think it's very probable, and I don't want to give away information for game 3. Submit. That Meltdown was very devastating. They just saw so many cards where they were likely to have a Cage or a Meltdown, so was kind of expected. Okay. On the play for game 3. Yeah, this is good. We'll keep. So an odd thing about Spire of Industry here, I am forced to play out my Lion's Eye Diamond if I want to make mana. So it opens me up to a Meltdown for 0 on turn 1. We'll play the Rite of Flame and Defense Grid. Hopefully this resolves. It does not. We will pass. They kept a hand without mana. That means that they likely have another piece of counter magic. We'll play the Saga. And I'm going to try to pick up my diamond here, so that way it doesn't get destroyed by Meltdown. We'll pass. Ancient Tomb was not a bad draw because that can activate the Urza Saga. Of course, they find Wasteland right on time. Alright. Well, we did find another Saga here. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Oh, can never win. And they know about the Runehorn Hellkite now. So they're heavily incentivized to counter the diamond. We'll play the tomb, and I think I'd like to pass the turn. They find a land. Volcanic Island into Dragon's Rage Channeler. Another Ancient Tomb. Let's play the diamond and see what happens. Alright, that resolves. Play the Rite of Flame. We'll make 3 blue, and I'll take some damage here. Ouch. We're going to activate the Runehorn Hellkite, floating 4 mana. They have a second Surgical Extraction, it looks like. Yep. Okay. So the one upside here is that they removed 4 of my lands from the game. We have 3 of them in play. I think that means there's only 3 lands left in the deck. So my draw 7 should be decent. Why did I open up my mouth? Obviously that was never going to happen. We'll play Lotus Petal. Play Lotus Petal. Another Lotus Petal. And then we'll play Chrome Mox. Imprint the Simian Spirit Guide, and then we're going to warp the Riddler here, which should draw 2 cards assuming that it resolves, and it does. So if the Burning Wish resolves, I have lethal, but they would need to not have any counter magic and no daze. So I feel like that's a little bit of wishful thinking. So maybe I'm supposed to just play Defense Grid. We'll play Grid, and unfortunately pass the turn. I think you're supposed to hold the Burning Wish for something next turn. They play Scalding Tarn, and now they fetch Mishra's Bauble, and they use it. They swing for 3. I'm at 10. They're paying costs. This feels like a Meltdown. It's either that or like Murktide Regent. And there it is, okay. So this is our opportunity. They're at 13. Okay. So we'll play Volcanic Island, play the Artist Talent, and now oh no, I have to cast that the hard way. That's not good. Let's think about this. I have 1 floating. I tap the tomb, I go to 6. Tap the 2 lands. So I draw 2. Yeah, I think this still works because I have 3 available mana. I'm going to end up at 5 though. So we really need to win this turn. That could have been better. Let's play a Burning Wish. We do not have any lines at diamond, so we're pretty much running on fumes here. That was decent. I'll say yes. What to do, what to do. I kind of wonder if it's Boomerang Basics here. Or maybe it should just be Echo, because I need something to discard anyway. Alright, we'll do an Echo. It might not be the right call. Discard the Echo. We draw Boomerang Basics, so that kind of worked out. And now we will Boomerang Basics on the Chrome Mox. Discard Gamble. And now we can play a Chrome Mox. Discard Gamble. Imprint on the Chrome Mox. Chrome Mox. Discard a Burning Wish. We'll imprint a Squelcher. Just trying to think through this. So Storm is 7. I can play Burning Wish with 1 open mana, and then discard the Opal and draw 2. But there's not a lot of mana in my deck. So alternatively, I could play the Opal, discard the Wish, hope to hit more mana, and then use the Echo, which I think gives me better chances for success. So I'll get rid of the Burning Wish. Another Opal is okay. How many Burning Wishes do I have left? 1 in exile, 2 in the graveyard. So we have 1 Burning Wish left. We'll float a blue. Let's play another Mox Opal. Discard the Gamble. Okay, we hit a remaining Burning Wish. So we'll cast the Burning Wish, discarding the Simian Spirit Guide. And I pricked. I was really hoping for something else because we're so close to lethal. That's unfortunate. Okay, so I'm going to have to Echo to win this now. Another thought, they have 9 power on the board. I guess I'm dead to double Lightning Bolt, so maybe that thought isn't very good. I'll say yes. We're going to grab the Boomerang Basics. I will have to Echo in order to win this, but I'm going to try to see if I can hit some Rite of Flames first. And so that way I can actually go up on mana. Discard the Echo of Eons. Play the Mox Opal. Discard Defense Grid. Well, there's 1 Rite of Flame. Let's play that. So this is going to make 4 mana. There's another Rite of Flame. Beautiful. Rite of Flame, so broken. Discard Gamble. We'll float a blue on the Mox Opal. We'll play another. And I must Echo in order to win here, because my 2 remaining Burning Wishes are in the graveyard. 8 cards left in deck. We'll play another Opal. Discard the Ancient Tomb. Let's warp another Riddler here. This way it's going to make it tough to fizzle. Throw Mox. Discard the Echo. I'm going to draw pretty low on my deck here. Alright, so I am not going to discard because I don't want to accidentally deck myself. And now we'll flash back Echo of Eons. Maybe I should play out another talent. I'll say no. And then let's level up Artist Talent. And now we'll flash back. No. No. Alright, Storm 20. We get to draw 9 cards here. We'll play Rite of Flame to start it off. Discard Ancient Tomb and Defense Grid. That's a Burning Wish. That's enough to win. We'll play the Burning Wish. Discard Defense Grid. Discard Echo of Eons. Yes. And Grape Shot. Sweet. Discard Boomerang Basics and a Mox Opal. Grape Shot is sweet. Also, Rite of Flame sort of carried us that game when our diamonds got exiled. Nice. So we're now 3-1. Let's go win match number 5. The best Legacy podcast? That would be Eternal Glory featuring myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Brian Koval and Phil Gallagher. We're available on all major podcast platforms and YouTube. The final match of this Legacy League, we've opened up the nuts. I'm going to keep. Our opponents revealed a Yorion Sky Nomad, which I hope means that they're on Death and Taxes, but if they're not, we have turn 1 Rite of Flame into Hexing Squelcher into Echo. And if they are on Death and Taxes, we can play Artist Talent and then Echo. And it looks like they are, in fact, on Death and Taxes. So we have Artist Talent into Echo of Eons. And wow, Ancient Tomb, what a draw. So we'll make a red and then play Rite of Flame. Play the Ancient Tomb. And now we'll play Artist Talent. Play the Lion's Eye Diamond. Trigger the Artist Talent. And we'll get rid of the Defense Grid. Lotus Petal's a good draw. Play the Lotus Petal. And I know that this seems silly. Maybe I'm being over... Okay. I'm going to discard it. If I lose to a main deck like Fairy Macabre out of D&T, I'll cry myself to sleep. But, you know. Alright, so now I'll add 3 blue. I think I'd like to level up the Artist Talent. So this means that we're going to have 1 mana floating post-Echo, but all of my spells cost 1 less. So like Burning Wish and Echo costing less is pretty huge. Okay. Let's play the Mox Opal. And I'll get rid of the Runehorn Hellkite. We draw a Riddler. Not the greatest draw. We'll play a Rite of Flame. We'll get rid of a Hexing Squelcher. Another gamble. Let's gamble here. We'll get rid of Hexing Squelcher. My draws have not been great. We'll grab a Lion's Eye Diamond. Hey, it wasn't Entomb for once. How about that? We'll get rid of Defense Grid. From Mox. We'll play that. And I'm not going to discard because I want to imprint it here. And then hold priority. And we can add 3 black mana and win the game. Tapping the Opal, even though I don't need to. Nice little turn 1 win there. How about that? We'll bring in Haywire Might and the Boomerang Basics. Board out Hexing Squelchers and a couple copies of Defense Grid. And I think that's... Well, I guess I could board in the empty. We'll get rid of 1 Defense Grid. So, a lot of these 80-card Death and Taxes decks do play a singleton Mindbreak Trap, which is something we need to be aware of. But I don't see myself actually casting a Defense Grid. So, like, it's nice that it could beat a Mindbreak Trap. I think in the situations where you play it, you're already in the middle of winning. Like, you're not going to, like, play it out and pass the turn. Like, that's just, like, not a good use of your mana. Or you could just open hand it. Ay. We'll keep. Misty Rainforest, are you not Death and Taxes? Are you Esper Vial? Turns out they're Esper Vial. And I was a little reckless. Diamond an incredible draw here, though. We'll play Chrome Mox. Gamble. Play the Saga. Play Lotus Petal. Mox Opal. And Defense Grid. I'm hoping they let this resolve because they're like, oh, they only have 2 cards in hand. Force of Negation, exiling Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student. Gamble. We will grab an Echo of Eons. Spin, baby, spin. That was my only protection spell. We have no protection spells in our deck right now. We'll play the Lotus Petal. Pass the turn. We are on the grind plan right now. Our opponent, turns out, is not playing Death and Taxes. They are, in fact, on Esper Vial, a not good matchup. That's a deafening silence. I do have this Urza Saga, though. Saga goes to the 2nd chapter. We'll play Spire of Industry. Let's try a Pyrite Spellbomb. Pass the turn. So I could have warped a Quantum Riddler there. I'd rather focus on just making constructs. They got rid of a Witch Enchanter. Little surprised by that. They play land number 3. 6 cards in their hand. End step, we'll make a construct. Artist Talent is the draw. We'll make another construct. Little 7/7s, about to be 8/8s. We'll grab Haywire Might. And let's attack for 8. Swing. They're at 10. I would like to try to Boomerang Basics on the Aether Vial. They activate it in response. They put in a Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. So this could get like a Meteor Sword. They grab a Batterskull. Okay. And I will pass. And now a Felia. So that can blink out my constructs, which is really obnoxious. We are far from having this game sealed. No way! Wow. What a comeback here. Well, I guess I can kill the Felia with the Spell Bomb. Okay. I just realized that I can kill the Felia. Now they have a Wasteland. So I will kill the Felia. They're at 10. I can Boomerang Basics on the Stoneforge. It would need to resolve, though. Let's attempt to bounce the Stoneforge Mystic. And now I think I want to kill the Teferi. So the Haywire Might will go at Teferi Time Raveler. The Construct token will go at them. Pass the turn. They play Tamiyo, Inquisitive Student and Stoneforge Mystic. They grab Pre-War Formalware. So they can block and then return the Stoneforge or Tamiyo to the battlefield. We'll play Lotus Petal. That will be my spell for the turn. And then we'll attack with the Construct, leaving the Haywire Might back. And now I'll play another Urza Saga. Pass the turn. They play a Karakas. Another Stoneforge Mystic, okay. They grabbed a Cryptic Coat. I think now is my time where I would like to exile the Deafening Silence. We'll draw for turns. Saga goes to the 2nd chapter. Maybe I'm being silly here. Maybe I should have left it. Alright, I will now swing. They're just going to throw the Stoneforge in front. Okay. I'll pass the turn. So they could put in Batterskull in the end step or the Pre-War Formalware. They also have Cryptic Coat in hand, but I don't think that's going to be the one. It's the Pre-War Formalware. And they return the Felia. Okay. Wrath of the Skies. Okay. That was quite the draw. They got me. Wow. Okay. We're going to bring back in our protection. I mean, I made the game pretty close despite not having any protection in the deck. Ward out the Boomerang basics. Probably don't need the Empty the Warrens. We'll shave a Quantum Riddler. Let's try this. On the play for game 3, they revealed their Yorion Sky Nomad. This hand is so risky. I think we have to mulligan. This hand is garbage. To 5. I suppose we'll keep bottom the Artist Talent and Pyrite Spellbomb. We'll play Urza's Saga. Use the Spirit Guide. Play Defense Grid. They have a Force of Will. Okay. Feel like we missed our opportunity for this match by losing game 2. They play Windswept Heath. They pass. That is an Echo. Whoops. And now I'll play a Haywire Might. So if our opponent has nothing here, it does give me a chance because the Saga can get a diamond and then Echo can put us back in. But it requires our opponent not having anything. Quantum Riddler. They have 5 cards in their hand. We'll float a colorless. Chrome Mox a decent draw here. We'll grab Lion's Eye Diamond. Play the Chrome Mox. We will imprint Gamble. Make 3 blue. And let's pray to Keranos that this resolves from 2. And it does! Okay. We will play Urza Saga, which triggers. And then let's try an Artist Talent. That resolves. That tells me that they don't have any counter magic. We'll play Lion's Eye Diamond, trigger the Artist Talent, and get rid of Artist Talent. We'll play a Mox Opal, discard Chrome Mox, Defense Grid. Okay. Let's play Defense Grid. Discard Lotus Petal. Okay, and I would have to get really lucky here, but we're going to go for it. Discard, hopefully we Echo or Gamble. Nope. And I will go to combat. If they have a certain white sorcery that we saw in game 2, we lose this match right on the spot. But we're not going to think about that. We're just going to try to do our own thing here. Uh-oh. Hull Breacher, that's not good for me either. Saga goes to the second chapter. I will pass. So we do have a Pyrite Spellbomb in the deck that we can get with the Urza Saga. They play Prismatic Vista. They're fetching very quickly. Why do you have to have cards? I would like it if you had no cards. Witch Enchanter. Okay. They're targeting the Saga. We'll make a construct. So now the Saga will die. Burning Wish is my best draw. They're at 15. I guess I can play another Defense Grid. No. And now we'll attack for 8. They're at 7. And they have a Swords to Plowshares. Deck, I am begging you. Please give me a Burning Wish. And Ophelia. They can start blinking their Witch Enchanter next turn. So if I don't draw the Burning Wish soon, we're out of this. That's just an Ancient Tomb. I have to pass. 3 mana for a Recruiter of the Guard. If they have a Lavinia, that pretty much locks me out. They grabbed a Skyclave Apparition. Okay. They're going to go after the Chrome Mox. And then they can blink it and go after Opal. They're just trying to cut me off colors, I guess. No blocks. During the end step, the Skyclave Apparition will come back. And they go after my Mox Opal. Yeah, they're going for my colors here. Please. Pretty please give me Burning Wish. Nope. So it is a colored mana, so it technically keeps me alive a little bit longer. They play a Brainstorm. This will transform Tameo. They now plus the Tameo. They swing. They're going to flicker the Recruiter of the Guard. It's interesting. Wrath of the Skies. Okay. And now the Recruiter of the Guard. Even if I draw Burning Wish, I am 1 storm short of killing them. Pass the turn. So they can attack for 8, which will put me to 2. And I can't use the Ancient Tomb. Alright, I'm at 2. They plus the Tameo. The Fairy Time Raveler, sure. Let's see it. Gamble does not do it. So I could go Right of Flame, Gamble. But because I can't tap the Ancient Tomb, I can't even 50-50 on a Burning Wish. There's no out here. Okay, so unfortunately, our draws never came together, and we ended up losing match number 5. So I do think the deck improved. I like the addition of Simian Spirit Guide. I think I'd try a mana base with no Ancient Tombs. I think you need to be able to cast your cards more often. And I understand that Ancient Tomb is really good with Urza Saga and Defense Grid, but you are playing Simian Spirit Guide already to accelerate into your Defense Grids or Hexing Squelchers. So I would try no Ancient Tombs, at least for a league. I get that there was a game or two this league where Quantum Riddler was solid. I kind of think that it's just a little win more still. But if you don't want to play stock up, I get it. It is a card that allows you to draw your library when you're pretty far ahead, and that it has some value. That's pretty much all I have to say. Is like the deck was an improvement. It was good, but I think it has colorless mana issues, and Quantum Riddler is still kind of stinky a majority of the time. There's some times where it's okay. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, keep storming. Thanks for checking out today's video. I really do appreciate it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff in order to support us. Another way you could support us, picking up an Epic Storm mini token combo pack from theepicstorm.com/shop, and it would have made playing this video much easier if I had an efficient way of counting my storm and mana.